Hey there, it's Nick Doherty from Forest Hill Real Estate, and I'm really excited today because today we're getting into the most exciting part in our 4-part series. We're going to be calculating the ROI, our return on investment, on how to calculate the numbers on a rental property. In part number 1, we went through the investment total, what we would have to come up with to actually invest in the property. So we came up with the amount $77,675. That's what it would take to actually invest in a property if we were purchasing it for $350,000. In the second video, part number 2, we went over the NOI, our net operating income, which after we have revenue coming in, the income minus expenses minus vacancy, we came up with this number, $1,175. And then in part number 3, last week we went into what was the mortgage payment, which we came up with $1,161 to service the mortgage we'd have, which was $280,000 on a $350,000 purchase, 20% down. We talked about the loan to value at 80%. And then today in part number 4, we are getting into the most exciting part, which is ROI. This is your return on investment. How hard is your money actually working for you? So stick with me. Let's get into it right now. I've gone ahead and wrote down what the numbers would be for our return on investment, and I want to go through them with you right now. So there's actually 3 components that play into your total return on investment. And we talked about number 1 in the last video in part number 3. We said the first one would be your cash flow. $14 a month is what we would be bringing in as extra into our bank account. Well, what is that times 12 months? That gives us $168 per year. Now the second one is our mortgage paydown. So if we're paying $1,161 per month on our mortgage, how much of that is actually going to the principal paydown and how much of that is going towards the interest. So I've gone ahead and calculated that. That's $13,932 minus $7,979, which leaves us a mortgage paydown of $5,953. Now the third way, which is the coolest way, is you actually get appreciation on the whole. The whole asset, which is $350,000, that you would be actually getting the appreciation on, which would leave us with $10,500. So now we have 3 ways. We have the cash flow, we have mortgage paydown, and we have appreciation. $168, $5,953, and $10,500. What does this leave us with? What is our total return on investment? So I've went ahead and I've calculated the final numbers, and I've came up with the return on investment that we would get on this investment property year number 1. Our ROI would be 21.4%. How did I come up with that number? Well, I took our cash flow, it's $168, plus our mortgage paydown was $5,953, plus the appreciation that we figured out at 3% was $10,500, which gave us a grand total of $16,621. What does that number mean to us, and what do we do with that number? So we take that number and we divide it by our initial investment, which we figured out in part number 1. If you haven't seen that video, go back to part number 1 and watch part number 1, 2, 3. This video will make more sense. But we take that number and we divide it, which gives us a grand total of 21.4%. So this is the number that we would actually make on our investment property year number 1. And believe it or not, this number gets better throughout the years. This is just number 1. As you start optimizing the property and increasing the cash flow, and you don't have to pay as much interest on your mortgage payments, and maybe the appreciation goes up in your local market because you've bought in a good location, this return on investment goes up. Now, I dare you to go into your bank and ask them if you could get a return on your mutual fund for 21.4%. I'm just joking. But this is what our return on investment would be. It'd be 21.4% for year number 1, and it just keeps getting better. I trust that this video series was beneficial to you on how to calculate numbers on a rental property. We went through from A to Z on how to calculate the numbers on a rental property. If you haven't watched the full 4-part series, I suggest that you go back, start with part number 1, all the way to part number 4 as we break down each component and figure out the numbers on a rental property. Although if you do have any questions, please comment below and write me any questions. I will get back to you. If you have a friend or a family member that you think this 4-part series would be beneficial to go through and watch and how to calculate the numbers, please share this video with them as well. Now, every week I'm going to be coming out with a video on the topic of rental properties and discuss a little bit more about it, so I would love for you to stay tuned next week when I come out with a new video. But until then, stay healthy, stay well, and I will see you on the next video.